Hi, Physics 2, Mr. Janowski here. This is chapters 15 and 16, homework number 1, and we'll do problem number 4. So problems 4 through 6 are different than 1 through 3. In 1 through 3, we knew what V was, and we were trying to determine what the value of this was, if we knew what V was at the beginning. This is the opposite. In this case, we know what this is. This, I'll call this the ugliness, and we're trying to figure out, well, what value of V makes the ugliness equal to the number that we know that it is. So how's that going to work? So what we know at the beginning of this is the square root of 1 minus V squared over C squared. Make that square root a little taller so we can see that all that stuff's inside there. And we know at the beginning that this is equal to 0.990. So what we're trying to do is figure out, well, what value of V makes this true. So first thing we got to do is square both sides. We need to get rid of that square root first. So on the left side, that's going to give us 1 minus V squared over C squared. And ask your calculator, what's 0.990 squared? It's going to tell you 0.9801. Okay, so we're making progress. We have to do a little bit of algebra. So I'm going to do 2 steps at once here. I'm going to add V squared over C squared to both sides. So that would make it disappear on the left, and it would put it over on the right. And I'm also going to subtract 0.9801. So that's going to make it disappear from the right side, and it's going to put it over on the left side. So 1 minus 0.9801. So we've got that. Ask your calculator, well, what's 1 minus this number? And calculator will tell you 0.0. That looks terrible. 0.0199. I don't know if you can tell. I'm not actually doing these problems right now. I've done them already, and I'm going through the answers. So that's why you don't hear me clicking away on my calculator. So 0.0199, and this is equal to V squared over C squared. But I don't want V squared over C squared. What I want is V. So you could multiply both sides by C squared. It's not going to make a difference if you do that now or if you do that later. But ultimately, at some point, you need to take the square root of both sides. So if you take the square root of both sides, ask your calculator, what's the square root of this number over there on the left? And it's going to tell you 0.141067. And what's the square root of V squared over C squared? It's going to be V over C. So we're almost there. I need to get V by itself. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by C. And now I'm going to switch left and right, just because I'd rather write it this way. And that's going to give me V is equal to 0.141. That's a 4. Still looks sloppy. 141.067C. And this is our final answer. So yeah, typically when you're doing these relativity problems, unless otherwise stated, you don't actually want your velocity in meters per second. You want it in some number times c. So we have that. Yeah, look, it even matches what I had up here. So we're happy with that. We give it a check. So hopefully you guys found that helpful.